Hey guys, this is Pastor Bruce Yates from Eastview Church of the Nazarene, Bloomington Eastview, Church of the Nazarene. I want to share with you today the final installment of the message, What We Wish We Could Unsee. This would be, if you're keeping track, this would be part 5. So 5 right there. and hope you'll enjoy this today. It's found over in Amos chapter 7, verses 7 through 15, where you'll find these words. Says, "This is what he showed me. The Lord was standing beside a wall built with a plumb line in his hand. And the Lord said to me, Amos, what do you see? And I said, a plumb line. Then the Lord said, see, I am setting a plumb line in the midst of my people Israel. I will never again pass them by. The high places of Isaac shall be made desolate, and the sanctuaries of Israel shall be laid waste. And I will rise against the house of Jeroboam with the sword." Then Amaziah, the priest of Bethel, sent to King Jeroboam of Israel, saying this, "Amos has conspired against you in the very center of the house of Israel. The land is not able to bear all his words." Verse 11. For thus Amos has said, Jeroboam shall die by the sword, and Israel must go into exile away from his land. And Amaziah said to Amos, O seer, go, flee away to the land of Judah, earn your bread there, and prophesy there. But never again prophesy at Bethel, for it is the king's sanctuary, and it is the temple of the kingdom. Then Amos answered Amaziah, I am no prophet, nor a prophet's son, he said, but I am a herdsman and a dresser of sycamore trees. And the Lord took me from following the flock. And the Lord said to me, go prophesy to my people Israel. Well, I wonder if have you ever been in a situation where maybe you were drawn to something you wish you hadn't been? Or maybe you viewed something you got stuck in your mind and you wish it wasn't there? Have you ever seen something maybe in yourself, in your own heart, in your own life, in your own mind, that you now wish you could unsee about yourself? Well, to combat this tendency, I've been sharing over the last few days about some steps we can take to think differently and to hold to different truth. Along the lines of the subject, what we wish we could unsee. I've talked to us over the last few days about clearly defining our values and about the importance of carrying our values along with us and being able to communicate them. I've talked about clearly recognizing who God sees us as. This is vastly important. And then we've talked also about clearly leading toward our values and our beliefs as if everything depends on it, because frankly it does. But none of that will make a difference in dealing with what we wish we could unsee without this last step, without this last truth. And I want to share this with you today and hope you'll carry it with you, not only into the rest of the day, but hopefully into the rest of your life. Last truth I want to share with you is the importance of clearly responding. Clearly responding. When you look at the scripture that we just shared, it would have been an amazing and a terrible thing at the same time if we only got one part of that story or one side of that discussion, but we were able to hear from more than one side. Having the truth and walking in ways that are going to free us from guilt, pain, remorse, sorrow, and brokenness. Having the information on how to walk in a different way, live in a different way, and stand for something It's all great to have that information. It's a totally different thing, though, to respond to it, to decide upon it, to choose, so that we can get beyond what we wish we could unsee. So the last thing I want to share with you this week is the issue of clearly responding. We clearly respond for some very important reasons. First, we clearly respond so that we leave no doubt in our own mind or in others' minds where we stand and what's important to us. If you notice in the scripture, again, in Amos's life at this point in time, if he would have just allowed the reaction to him to happen that was noted in the scripture, and he had backed off of that message, or he had somehow stepped back from what he had seen that God would have him to do, then there would have never been the impact there needed to be, and the recognition that God was doing something and setting a standard that needed to be adhered to. So it's very important that we clearly respond to these truths we've been enlightened about, that we walk in that light, that we leave no doubt either in our mind or in others where we stand and why we stand there. So we need to clearly respond. Secondly, we need to leave nothing up to interpretation. I love the fact that Amos not only responded, but he left no doubt. He left no wiggle room, as it were. We are so good, especially in Western culture, it seems, at leaving ambiguity just hanging out there like a low-hanging fruit. We need to be clear in our values, clear in our beliefs, clear in why we believe what we believe, and then be bold enough to carry those values and share those values along life's way. So let's not leave doubt in our mind or others about what we believe or why we're doing what we're doing. Let's leave nothing up to interpretation. Let's not be vague. Amos was not vague. Amos was very clear. And I love the fact that Amos was powerful enough in his character to be willing to stand when he could have easily crumbled. Great lesson for us. But he left nothing up to interpretation. I love verse 14, and I'd love to have seen the interplay and the facial expressions. I've been there, as the old saying goes, like a fly on the wall. Then Amos answered Amaziah, I am no prophet, nor a prophet's son. So he's saying, don't get confused here, But I am a herdsman and a dresser of sycamore trees. This is where I fit. And yet. And the Lord took me from where I fit. The Lord took me from where I might have been comfortable, or where it would have been easy for me to step back and just blend in. The Lord took me from following the flock, and the Lord said to me, go prophesy go prophesy to my people, Israel. So let's not leave things up to interpretation. Let's not be vague. Instead, let's make our value-driven choices and get involved with the world we're living in, and then stick with what we believe. Let's stand strong in our faith. Let's be the people that others can look at and say, hey, there's something different about them because of the choices they've made, the values they adhere to, and the beliefs that they share. So let's make our value-driven choices. Choose to get involved with your world. Don't stand on the sidelines. If the Lord has put a gift in your hand, go share it. Okay? And stick with it. Do what God would have you to do. Be who God would have you to be.